Now, when talking about what's the most fun DPS spec in Wrath of the Lich King Classic, it's very subjective, and your idea of fun and my idea of fun could be two very different things. You might consider it fun to spam one button, like a Warlock in TBC for example, and top damage meters at the same time, or you might prefer a more complex rotation like a Feral Druid, where ultimately the skill ceiling to actually perform well is a lot higher, but then you feel rewarded for it when you do perform well. One where it's not a set in stone rotation, and it's filled with procs and fun mechanics that just make it feel fun. So I'm going to give you my top 3 DPS specs in terms of fun when it comes to Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Some of you will be surprised that Feral Druid doesn't actually make the list, because if any of you have watched me for any length of time, you know I've played a Druid for 17 years now and don't plan on changing now, but it doesn't mean that I don't have fun on other classes. But before we get into all of that, just a quick word from the sponsor, Cyberpower. If you're fed up with playing on a potato and think it's actually time to upgrade your PC ready for Wrath of the Lich King Classic, look no further than Cyberpower. With Cyberpower you can use the PC by game option to simply pick World of Warcraft and have a PC expertly built for a low price, which is built with World of Warcraft in mind. If you wanted to get more into the nitty-gritty, you can use the Build My PC tool, and from start to finish with 5 easy steps, you'll have a fully custom PC built to match your needs. Simply click Start Your Build, choose whether you want desktop or laptop. Of course, we want desktop. Choose a budget that suits you. For example purposes, let's go for £700 and see how much bang for our buck we can actually get. Pick one or multiple games that you like the look of or that you intend on playing. What brand do you like? AMD, Intel? If you've got no preference, simply select them all. And now, are you in a rush? Do you want this PC tomorrow, or are you happy to wait for something fully custom? Let's see what we can get tomorrow, because I don't like waiting. And straight away we're greeted with 2 options. One's over budget, but maybe you're happy to stretch the extra couple of £100 for all the extras that you're going to get, like a more powerful graphics card and an extra 8GB of RAM. You can further customize these by adding or taking away anything you want, or you can simply add it to the cart and then decide if you want to pay all in one or take advantage of the finance Cyberpower offer. Even though it's a UK-based company, it is worth mentioning they ship internationally, and whenever I've mentioned these guys on stream, everyone raves about how amazing their service is and the quality builds they provide. So up first is the Frost DK. Now, all DK specs are relatively fun, but I really enjoy the fast-paced action of dual-wield Frost. Waiting for those killing machine procs, so your next Icy Touch, Howling Blast or Frost Strike will be a critical hit. Howling Blast on its own is just a very fun ability on the basis that it's instant cast and it hits everyone around, so seeing those big numbers can be very exciting. And then even looking out for Rhyme procs, so it increases the critical strike chance of your Icy Touch and Obliterate by 15%, and casting Obliterate has a 15% chance to reset the cooldown on Howling Blast and cause your next Howling Blast to consume no runes. So it can be extremely fun to press Howling Blast into an Obliterate, get lucky and it procs to be able to Howling Blast again. It's just really rewarding. But because it's fast-paced and so proc-driven, you're constantly having to look out for something. You're having to do something all the time. It's not just stand there, press 1, then 2, then 3, rinse and repeat. You're always looking for that next proc, whilst managing your runes, and whilst also trying to keep your blood runes as death runes to further increase the amount of Obliterates or the amount of Howling Blasts that you can actually do, as well as checking for your diseases to make sure that they're up all the time, even using Pestilence to spread them around to everybody else. There is just so much involved with this spec that it does really, really make me happy when I'm playing it. So if it makes me happy while I'm playing it, I'd say it's pretty fun. All of that on top of the fact that you can queue for 5-man heroics in pretty much full DPS gear and just go Frost Presence in this spec and hold aggro and not really take too much damage. Again, something really fun about the spec. Whilst I also recommend that you don't go in with absolutely zero defense in 5-man heroics, because you are going to put your healer under pressure. When you're massively overgeared, it's going to be a lot of fun in like full tier 7 BIS just to run in 5-man heroics as a dual wield Frost DK. But you do feel like you've got a lot of control as a Frost DK as well, and you bring a lot to the party with things like Horn of Winter just bringing strength and agility, bringing the improved Icy Talons, so you're giving all your melee 20% haste, having an interrupt on a 10-second cooldown, or even a silence on a 2-minute cooldown, having so much access to self-heals. All the self-healing you do, because being in Blood Presence to give you that 15% extra damage, you're also going to be healing yourself for 4% of your direct attacks all the time. It's just an absolute beast. And let's not forget about Death Grip. I mean, Death Grip's just fantastic as well. Just try not to troll your tanks with it. I think the class that comes in at number 2 might surprise you the most, because it's probably one that if you do watch me stream, you know I probably play the least. But the Fire Mage, once you start getting decent amounts of crit, is just absolutely amazing. amazing. Nothing comes close to Hot Streak in terms of fun. Anytime you score 2 non-periodic critical strikes in a row, you get a 100% chance for your next Pyroblast to be instant cast. So as you've got lots of crit, just banging fireballs in, seeing your living bomb explode, and then being able to fire off instant cast Pyroblasts is absolutely amazing. This on top of having so much AoE as well still, with things like Dragon's Breath, which targets a cone in front of the caster, doing X amount of damage, and it disorientates them, and of course being able to use Blast Wave. But on top of this, if you decide to take something like Firestarter, where your damage in Blast Wave and Dragon's Breath have a 100% chance to make your next Flame Strike instant cast and cost no mana, you actually become an AoE machine. So for those real quick, short bursts of adds that spawn and you can just jump in, Blast Wave, Dragon's Breath into an instant cast Flame Strike, it is a lot of fun. But as I say, for me, the biggest fun factor comes from the single target DPS. Whilst it may seem quite slow paced in comparison to things like the Frost DK, it is just that Hot Streak that makes it feel so good. There is nothing better than going instant cast Pyroblast, couple of fireballs, instant cast Pyroblast, and you're just watching that ignite tick away and just watching the enemy take ridiculous amounts of damage. But like we went into with the DK, it's not just that makes it fun. Being able to spell still really cool abilities to buff yourself, having invisibility so you can potentially not have to run back when the rest of the group wipe, having so much control, hard CCs like Polymorph, and obviously just very high amounts of survivability. I mean, you can even get really cool things like Blazing Speed, of course, which gives you a 10% chance when you're hit by melee or ranged attacks to increase your movement speed. That can be quite fun, very niche situations where you'd actually need it, but either way, it's still quite fun when it goes off. Overall, for me, if I was going to play a ranged DPS class in Wrath of the Lich King, it would be tough to choose between the Mage and the class we're about to talk about next. But I'm referring more to individual spec. Fire Mage, for me, is miles and miles away from playing an Arcane Mage or a Frost Mage. I would put Fire so far ahead of the other two. I find the other two quite boring. It's only really Fire that I really enjoy. But again, remember, this is only my opinion on the most fun specs. So what is the other one? I would struggle choosing if I was to play a ranged DPS between Fire Mage and the Demonology Warlock. There's something about Demonology that I absolutely love. Even if Affliction and Destruction done double the damage of Demonology, which they don't, I would still want to play Demonology. I love the cooldown Metamorphosis, where it transforms you into a demon, you gain some unique abilities, it increases your armor by 600%, damage by 20%, it reduces the chance you'll be critically hit by 6%, and reduces the duration of stun and snare effects on you. Now, some of the unique abilities you get are just so cool, like being able to put up a big Immo aura, charging into the boss with your big Felguard with you, because of course you'd be using the Felguard, and that's another thing that makes this spec fun. The Felguard is a really cool pet. Out of all of the Demon and Hunter pets, the Felguard is the one that I actually enjoy using, because I don't really enjoy pet classes overall, to be fair. This is just a very unique pet that absolutely slaps. But it's not just Metamorphosis and Felguard that I like about this spec, it's the fact that you bring Demonic Pact, which increases everybody in your raid spell power by 10% of your spell power when it procs, as well as bringing tons of other utility like soul stones and health stones, or being able to summon. But I see that as a downside. I hate summoning as a warlock. I mean, you warlocks are probably used to it, but I can't stand it. It makes me feel really bad typing 1, 2, 3 in chat so often. But the most fun thing for me from Demonology is the rotation. The rotation is really fun, and the procs that you get are just really cool, like Molten Core, which not only does it increase the duration of your Immolate, it also gives you a chance to get the Molten Core effect when your Corruption deals damage. So what this does now is for the next 3 charges, either using Incinerate, which increases damage done and reduces the cast time, or Soulfire, which increases the damage done and increases the critical strike chance. Now, this just synergizes really well with another talent, which is Decimation, which is when you Shadow Bolt, Incinerate, or Soulfire a target that is at or below 35% health, the cast time of your Soulfire spell is reduced by 40% for 10 seconds. So just the fact that it's so quick to cast when it's under 35% health and it's free to cast, so you haven't got to worry about soul shards, it's absolutely amazing, and it does so much damage. When you get to that 35% sort of execute phase, we'll call it, and literally all you're doing is keeping up your Corruption, your Immolate, and just spamming Soulfires into the target, it really is amazing, and you'll just watch your DPS climb so hard when it's under 35%. But when you're getting these two synergized together, where you're getting your Molten Core procs increasing the damage of Soulfire and the crit chance of it, and you're casting it under the Decimation effect, it's just really fun. And as I say, I'm picking the 3 specs that I just think are fun. There's certain aspects to them that just make them really unique, and I think this is quite unique when you start casting off those big, hard-hitting spells, even though it is for the final third of the boss fight. Let's not forget as well, though, Demonology is very tanky, just in general. You know, getting things like Soul Link, where your pet's going to take 20% of your damage. Getting your improved stones, so your Conjured Firestone and Spellstone, increasing the effect of those by 300% with Master Conjurer. And even having Demonic Empowerment, which when you're using the Felguard, it increases the Felguard's attack speed by 20% and breaks all stun, snares, and movement impairing effects, and makes your Felguard immune to them for 15 seconds. Now, Demonic Empowerment does have an effect for all of your demons, but obviously you're going to be using Felguard 99% of the time as a demo lock. Overall, these three specs really I do consider the most fun specs to play in Wrath of the Lich King. The Frost DK will be for you if you like fun, fast-paced action, looking for procs, getting big crits on multiple mobs, spreading diseases, being able to summon a ghoul, loads of cooldowns, loads of utility for your melee DPS, or the Mage if you just like seeing those big single target numbers, but also being able to do some real great burst AoE, as well as bringing all of the normal stuff that you expect to see from a Mage, or the Demonology Warlock if you like turning into a big demon yourself, getting up close and personal and doing some really big AoE whilst in Metamorphosis, and huge single target of course all the time as well. But then when it hits 35%, you just start popping off big time. The most fun healer video and the most fun tank video are going to be coming very soon, so make sure you watch out for those. So make sure you like and subscribe. Check out the Rested XP guide in the description below, how to get to 70 to 71 in the pre-patch, and obviously 80 in Northrend. Roll the outro. So ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes, everyone will know you're a member when you comment on future videos because you get a nice icon next to your name, and you get access to members only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.